absolutely unbelievable Q&A for you guys today. It's very special. We're honoring our 20th anniversary of the UFC. So I have 4 distinguished fighters. They're going to be coming out and answering questions. Before we get going, though, a little housekeeping. We have 2 microphones, one on the right, one on the left. Line up for those if you'd like to ask a question. We also run a contest when we're in Las Vegas, so the best question gets a huge duffel bag full of merchandise sent from the UFC. So that's kind of a nice prize. So we'll be in the back listening to your questions, and whoever does the best question will get your information after the show, and we'll send you a nice gift. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to start bringing out our 4 fighters. The first fighter, his legacy was etched in MMA history when he walked into the cage wearing 1 boxing glove to face an unknown opponent whose name happened to be Hoist. His career, that a lot of you don't know, he had 51 professional boxing fights. Very, very good boxer. Ladies and gentlemen, by the way, 1 MMA fight. The one and only Art One Glove Jimmerson. All right, our next fighter. Many of you don't know this, but at WC1, the first show we did, we had a guy that was going to be our main event, and his name was Chuck Liddell. Then this guy named Dana White called Chuck and said, guess what? We just bought the UFC. We want you to fight for us. So we had to scramble and find another fighter. So we needed someone big. We needed someone that could fill Chuck's shoes. So our next fighter has probably one of the best records in MMA. He fought 127 times. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan the Beast Severn. By the way, he won the fight at WC1. Our next fighter is a former NCAA college wrestler who a lot of you don't know also represented us in the Olympics. He is a former UFC heavyweight champion and one of the most exciting fighters in either UFC or Pride. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark the Hammer Coleman. And finally, this man is really responsible for opening the world of MMA to all of us. He is, the first time I watched UFC was when he fought Dan Severn, and I couldn't believe it. He opened up our thinking to the fact that someone with training and technique could win a fight against a much larger opponent. He's also someone at the UFC, I actually call him boss, and every time I get a paycheck, I look up in the sky and I thank him, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, the only 3-time UFC tournament winner. He has the most submissions in UFC. He is the legendary Royce Gracie. Okay, so line up at the microphones. Thank you, Mike. Thanks, boss. For questions. And I'll open it up to you guys. All right, go ahead.
Hey, first things first, I'd like to thank Art and Dan and Mark and Hoist for coming out and spending the time with the fans, because that means the world to us. You guys have given us a lot over the years, and we just wanted to thank you for that. I had both a comment and a question for Royce. Over the build-up for the 20th anniversary, what you've done, Royce, and what Rorian's done has been greatly publicized and celebrated. But I just want to take a quick second here and recognize Helio, your father, for what he's done, leading us to this point, because I really, truly don't feel like any of us would be here right now if it wasn't for what Helio did for us, MMA, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I just wanted to recognize your father for that.
That's what I tell everybody. I'm a product of my father's work.
That's great. And my question for you is, Royce, of the modern day MMA fighters, who do you think has adapted Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu the best for fighting in MMA?
Demian Maia is doing a good job using Jiu-Jitsu. Nick and Nate Diaz, they use there's a lot of fighters, man. It's a strategy game. So depending who they are fighting.
Fantastic. Thank you for your time. That's the question I had. Appreciate it.
Go ahead.
I appreciate all the fighters. I think a lot of people don't realize how great of a boxer you were, that they didn't realize the background you had. But this question, in all seriousness, do you think that a legends division in UFC, because so many of y'all keep yourself in great shape, and somebody that's followed fighting from the very beginning, do you think it'd be something like fans would want to see, and would you want to still do that? That's for all of you.
Man, there's only one way to find out.
Hey, we don't want them to start fighting here, so.
I think we were having a little bit of a discussion about this just backstage, and I think there might be a few unsettled issues here that maybe that might be a good venue to have.
I would be all for it. It'd be great. Dan's been trying to get a rematch for 15 years.
But Mark,
I told him
I've actually been
lose 50
slimming down for him
pounds.
too, so.
I told him to lose 50 pounds, and he shows up here, about 35 of it gone. He's still tracking me down.
I'm trying.
And I'm all for it. Rematch. I wish I could have gave it to him, but size matters, and he was just a 280-pound giant. And I would have still did it. I just didn't have it in me. Hoist, same thing. We'll never know what would have happened. I obviously have a much more respect for jiu-jitsu now. And back then I should have, so we'll never know. You might have got that gi around my throat. Be honest with you.
I think we should all recognize, I mean, MMA is a good way to go if you want to stay in shape. Look at these guys. Next question.
Really, for all of you, although Art might have the easiest, quickest answer, with which UFC bout were you the most nervous stepping into the octagon?
What's he trying to say there, Art?
Well, you know what? Again, coming to the octagon, it was like, a fish out of water. I really didn't know what to expect. I never really heard of Royce or MMA, So getting involved, I was just so excited, because I'm a fighter at heart. So just to be a part of UFC, I'm so grateful for that. Also, to lose to Royce Gracie, I mean, not knowing who he is, I'm just so glad he went ahead to win like 3 or 4. That way it makes me look good. So you know what? So thank you, Royce, all right? I mean, for making me famous, just wearing one glove, So again, that's my answer is I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Dan?
Well, I guess just to answer a little bit more to that, Mark and I come from a rich history of amateur wrestling, representing the United States on numerous occasions abroad. So I don't think that either he and I would have ever been intimidated walking into this arena, because we had already faced some of the best wrestlers in the world in their country on their mat. So intimidation was never a factor.
For you.
Come on, Mark. I thought, where was that discussion we had backstage here now, huh?
Just being sneaky again, Dan. But I was pretty confident. UFC 10, no doubt about it. Wrestling mentality. Just thought it was right up my alley, and I was going to figure out how to win this thing. But UFC 1 was very stressful, and it seemed like every fight there was more on the line. So there's always going to be pressure. The lights on, the fans. It's how you deal with the pressure. And you got to find a way to come out on top and keep your emotions in check, which, from what I understand, I didn't do so well all the time. Sorry.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I was asleep. My brothers had to wake me up. Brother, it's right. Time to go. Let's go. Time to warm up.
Very nice.
All right.
Thank you.
Go pick a fight.
I wish it could have been like that for me. I was staring at the ceiling all night, waiting for the next day. I was excited.
This one's for Dan Henderson. How long after that triangle choke did it take you to want to learn jiu-jitsu?
I'm sorry, say again?
After that triangle choke, how much time did it take you to want to learn jiu-jitsu after that?
Well, that's probably a rather long answer that I could probably give here right now. But let's just say that I used that scenario a number of times. That I said that the cost of education, it cost me roughly $60,000 that night to learn the lesson of the triangle choke. Lessons costed me $60,000 a crack. I'm a pretty fast learner and has never happened again.
I also got one for Hoist Gracie. Have you been following Rafael Lovato Jr., and is he ever going to come to the UFC?
I follow a lot of those guys. They are good BJJ players. I wish they can come out and fight MMA.
Okay. Thank you.
So, hi. I have two questions for you. So, I've been watching the latest Ultimate Fighter, and you know, for a long time, I kind of stopped watching the show, pretty much since the heavyweights. But now, you know, they have the girl fighters on there, Ronda Rousey versus H.E.A.T. But you know, I was thinking maybe they want to do another version of kind of the Ultimate Fighter. So, would you guys be like interested in maybe doing like a UFC Legends version of the Ultimate Fighter? That would be awesome.
Would the title of that show be Geriatrics House? Would there be new rules in effect, such as you don't need mouth guards since you just leave your dentures out on the table? Maybe additional time, unlimited time, so that we can use our walkers and that and get across the cage. No kicking prosthetics, things of that nature.
No. You guys being the coaches.
Well,
I'll take that.
like Mark.
Well,
I'm gonna
you
listen.
know,
Whoa.
I'm saying,
Let's
you
let
know.
Mark Coleman.
Can I have a second there, Dan?
Yeah.
The floor is all yours, Mark.
You sure? I've been fortunate enough to be on this next tough show. I'm not allowed to say too much about it, but I would say it's been the closest thing to actually walking in that cage as I could find to do, and it's given me new life coaching with these guys, and I've had a blast. It's as intense as it gets, and thank Dana White for bringing me in. Thank BJ Penn for having confidence in me to handle the wrestling part, and I'm going to miss it when it's over. It's really brought me back to life. I've made a lot of new friends. And forever, I'm a fan of both teams now. When it's all over, I'm going to be a fan of the red and blue team. I look forward to watching these guys, somebody turn themselves into a champion. And I'd love to come back potentially as the head coach versus possibly this cat right here. And then we can fight at the end, possibly. I don't know if anybody wants to see that or not, but it's a dream. It certainly would be a dream. I don't know if we can make this one come true.
Well, you never know. And then my second question is, what do you guys think about now that the UFC is open to women? Ronda Rousey, H.E.A.T, all the other girls that are fighting in the UFC, all the other women that are fighting now.
Brilliant idea. It's awesome. Love it. These girls can fight, period. They belong in there, and it's brought a nice little addition to the UFC. I love watching it.
Thank you.
My question's for Art and Hoist over there. Art, when did you first realize that maybe wearing the one glove wasn't such a good idea? And Hoist, what did you think when he came in with the glove?
Well, you know what? The funny part about it is that I was scheduled to fight Tommy Hearns further down the line for a world title. So wearing the one glove again, I never heard of Hoist. So it wasn't until I got into the ring and they announced my name, from St. Louis, Art Jimmerson. I got 2 claps from my trainer and my manager. And then it hit me when it said Hoist Gracie, the whole place erupted. It was so loud I had to hold on to the fence. I was shaking. I was like, who am I fighting? So that kind of showed me then it was a bad idea wearing the one glove.
And Art, isn't it true that you didn't even know he could take you down?
You know what? Again, it was like a fish out of water. I mean, I have to stay up on top to be a boxer. I have to stay on my feet. And again, Hoist did the smartest thing. He came and he took my legs up under me. And once he took my legs up under me, I looked up at the referee like, all right, I'm ready to get up. He's like, no, keep fighting. and then the funny part is, Hoist headbutts me 3 times. Bam, bam, bam. I said, he's cheating. He says, no. And then I feel a heel kick inside of my waist. I'm like, referee, then I feel my legs all, so it was a really bad night for me, okay? So
That's awesome. That's awesome.
All right,
so again,
beautiful.
like I said, my hat off to Hoist and to their Art, like I said, it was just a fish out of water. I mean, so, if we could flip things around, he come on my side in the boxing, I would love that, okay? Give me a chance.
When he showed up with one glove, I was thinking, man, he's gonna hit me so hard, he's afraid to break his hand. I better duck.
Thanks, guys.
Next question.
Hey, I'm I'm supporting like the younger generation. I'm 16, and it was I used to work at an MMA store, and it was really cute. This little 8-year-old kid came in, and Hoist Gracie was doing a seminar in PA, and I was like, do you know who that guy is? And he's like, oh yeah, I know who he is. He's like, I'm gonna be just like him one day. And I was like, oh, that's so touching that, like, even though there's a young generation, you guys are still, like, affecting their lives. Like, how does that make you guys feel that, like, you're always going to be remembered no matter what age group?
I travel about 8 months of the year teaching all over the world. And now I see little kids like 8, 10 years old coming up to me. It's like, man, I want to be a UFC fighter. Can you hook me up? Sure. Give me a call in about another 10 years or so.
Yeah. Because you guys fought a long time ago.
It became mainstream now.
Yeah.
Like kids grow up, want to be football players and soccer players and basketball players. Now they want to be UFC fighters. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. I've got a question for Mark and a question for Royce. About 2-3 days ago, GSP did an interview talking about the first time he met you and the first time you met Team Hammerhouse and how you scared the shit out of him. And he knew no English and how you went in there pounding the walls and you wouldn't let him warm up and you're actually trying to help him out and warm him up for the fight itself. Do you want to expand on GSP's story there?
Well, it's true. 96, 97, 98, Hammerhouse was strong, and we didn't know. Only way we knew was loud, hard, and intense. And we got Wes Sims in there warming him up, and we kind of didn't realize I was taking too much of the mat space. And I didn't know George St. Pierre, but yeah, he didn't understand English, and I guess we somehow intimidated him back then. It seems like he gets the mat space now. He turned the tables on me, but it was, in hindsight, it was a very neat experience. I probably should have lowered my tone of voice. It's not the first time I've been told that. It was neat. I love, the memories, all the friends that I've built over the years. These guys, I consider these guys friends. St. Pierre. I was fortunate enough to meet him back then. Just some really, really cool stuff to be part of.
And then the question for Hoist, as far as black belts nowadays, the way you and your brothers grew up and the way your dad taught you, as a black belt, you don't tap. You either go to sleep or your arm breaks or your knee breaks. I mean, how do you view black belts nowadays when you see them when they're fighting and they actually tap out during the fight itself? I mean, do you agree with that, or you still got that old school mentality?
That's not a black belt or not being a black belt. That's either inside of you or not. So I'm a Gracie. That's the way I think.
So I mean, as a Gracie, like with you, so I mean, because you never tap, regardless. I mean, you're fine with going to sleep. And I remember reading an interview with Dan talking about him looking outside the cage and looking at your father, waiting for your father to throw in the towel, and your father's face was just stoic, and he's like, break it, go ahead and break it. So like, you look at fighters now, like, how do you feel? How do you feel about that?
I mean, I didn't sign up for fighting to quit. John Jones just did an interview not too long ago, and he was in trouble, and he's like, man, I think it was Vitor caught him in the arm lock, and he's like, man, I didn't come this far to quit. I respect that attitude. You didn't sign up. You didn't sign up to quit. You see, you signed up to finish, to win. Hey, he got it. Go ahead, finish.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, guys.
You can have a bad day possibly, but I think most of us are in agreement. You just can't quit. You keep fighting and try to figure out a way to make whatever's going on out there turn in your favor and put on a show for you guys. You guys, without you guys, we have no sport. Thank you so much.
Hi, Hoist. I'm Regan from Calgary. I met you out back in the lineup. 20 years ago, I had to borrow my mom's car to go get a box to be able to watch the UFC #1. I'm 36 today. It's my birthday, and you just made my life. It was really important to me to see the first UFC. I'd been in martial arts for 3 years at that point. Was always the smaller guy, and just really appreciated what you did out there. GSP recently said he'd love to go back to that old format of open time, no rounds. I really wanted to know what you think about that. If obviously it's for the sport that they've gone that way, but if you'd like to see it go back to that, and also when you were doing it, how you paced yourself to be able to last that whole fight.
Man, I got endurance out of this world. Not too long ago, I mean, about 3 years ago, just to see how far I can run 41 miles. 7 hours later, I stopped, and it's like both legs cramp up such a way. I was like, okay, call the car, I'm done. But, I mean, it's hard to do a show like that with no time limit because they have the pay-per-view. So I like the old format because I'm fighting somebody bigger and stronger. Fighting somebody your weight, then you don't need the unlimited, the no time limit. The no time limit is if you're fighting somebody bigger. I'll give you the weight advantage, but give me time.
Fair enough. Thanks so much.
Hello, everyone. This is a question for the panel. More straightforward is, who do you have winning tonight between GSP and Johnny Hendricks? And if you could pick a super fight, super match, who would it be?
Okay, Art, you first.
Sure. It's a toss-up, man. I like both of them a lot. It's kind of hard to pick. I mean, like I said, styles make fights, especially in boxing. But again, if I could go back, what was the second question? I'm sorry.
Super fight. So if you could have a super matchup.
Art, One Glove, Jimmerson, and Hoist Gracie. Rematch.
With or without the glove?
All right. Without, please.
My reply on that one would be I'm actually kind of torn on the main event. I've always been a George St. Pierre fan, but also my first love is amateur wrestling. So knowing that Johnny Hendricks, amateur wrestling background as well, so I'm a little bit torn on both sides. I just hope to see a phenomenal match. As for any kind of a super bout. I kind of threw that out during my final couple of years, hoping to get one more big hurrah match before I retired, but didn't happen, so life goes on. A couple of those people are up on the panel here with me right now. So I'm all for those coaches and that Legends League. So
I got a very similar answer as Dan. I've known George for 15 years. You build a relationship, but at the same time, I do know Johnny Hendricks as well, and I am a bred wrestler. So I'm torn. I just want to see a great fight. Hope you guys get to see a great fight. The best man's going to win. Love them both. Super fight, there's just so many out there I'd like to see. The Cain Velasquez, Junior Dos Santos fight, I couldn't believe what I was watching there. That was evolution at its best right there. They got so many great fighters coming up. But again, I just sound like I've been called out here by Severn. Go with him first, and then
put your hearing aid in there, Mark, and listen to me.
UFC 10, my manager held up 3 Gracies in one night, and they weren't happy about it. I didn't know about it, but Hensel, he tracked me down literally, and he said, 3 Gracies one night, Coleman? Well, how about 1, and we start right now? And I kind of scratched my head just like that, and well, no, for money, in the cage. And then Hyen Gracie gave me a couple devil looks, and Hoist didn't dig it too much. None of them dug it, but I was willing to give it a try. Let's put it that way.
Nice.
Fortunately, we'll never know in our prime who would have won that, but in our legendary older status, we can find out. Hoist. Nothing's going to be easy, but I'll give it a shot. Give me at least a year to get ready.
I'm ready.
I need a year. I want to be 50 when it happens anyways.
I'm on St. Pierre's corner, but but anything can happen. That's why the UFC is here, to find out.
Absolutely.
And when you're on the top, you're on the top forever. I just got challenged by all 3 of them. That's awesome.
This is true. Everybody wants this man. Everybody wants a piece of you, right? So many years.
Still.
Ain't that nice? Is that a nice feeling?
That's awesome.
Thanks, guys.
My question is for all 4 fighters, I guess, just to get an opinion. It's about the evolution of the UFC. So back when it started, when you guys were fighting, there was pretty much no question as to who won the fight. When it was done, somebody was laid out, knocked out, or wrapped up in a pretzel. Lately, we've had a lot of championship bouts where strategy has overcome the fighting, and we're getting a lot of slack from GSP saying he's not exciting, he's not a great fighter anymore. How do we get the UFC to show exciting fights without asking our championship fighters to risk everything on a 60-second slugfest hockey fight?
I got asked that question before. People ask me that. The way I look at it, you've seen Gladiator, the movie, and there's a scene that Russell Crowe tells the guys to stay back. He walk out, beats everybody, the crowd gets quiet. He looks at the crowd, what's the matter? You're not entertained? I won. Pretty much the way I look at them. Hey, they're there to win the fight. It's a fight. Go fight the guys that they're fighting. You see that he's not entertained enough for the crowd. He's fighting, man. He's winning. They're not fighting little guys. They're fighting some tough opponents. So
for sure, I get that, and I guess to put it to the extremes, we've seen championship matches where 205-pound fighters, 2 of the toughest fighters in the world, will spend 25 minutes in the ring, and neither one of them leave with a scratch or a bruise. You know.
Get in there and fight one of them.
Not me, man.
Go do what we do for living.
You didn't see the scratches. They were there. They were there somewhere, trust me. You don't go 25 minutes without having a scratch.
Well,
you might not have seen it.
You know what? Also, it's like in boxing, right? You have two fighters, especially two boxers. Like when Sugar Leonard fought Benitez, everybody thought it was a boring fight, but it wasn't. It was as a fighter, me looking inside as a fan, it was a magnificent fight, all right, because of the strategy. So looking at it from a fighter's point of view, I seen everything they was doing, the moving, the parrying, all the blocking. So again, I think what happens is you as a fan, what are you there for? You are there for the art or just for the knockout?
Right on. Thanks, guys.
The original UFC, one of the things they always said on the pay-per-view was this is to determine, what fight style works, what fight style doesn't, and it seemed to be Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a while, and this is for everyone. Now, if you look at the champions, they seem to mostly have a wrestling base. Even the ones that, don't have wrestling in their background, like GSP, have taken on a wrestling base with, either Muay Thai or boxing, striking. You don't really see a lot of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in fights, and Royce Gracie's already giving me a death stare, but you don't see a lot of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the high-level fights. I mean, what do you guys, if you were asked the question, what fight style works now, 20 years later, what would you say?
I'll jump in there first. I still say it's a blend of all of the above. You can't just walk in there as a wrestler. You still need striking ability. You still need submission ability. Shippy throwing the wrestler out there as a raw wrestler, depending on the level they are, they have a certain mental mindset. They already have a certain physical preparation, but they still need that striking and that submission ability and prevention.
It used to be, I remember everybody representing their sport and taking pride in that. I was a wrestler, and I wanted to show the world and all my wrestling fans and buddies that we were the best base to have in this sport. And back then, you could kind of get away with being a little one-dimensional, but obviously now, today, they're all three equally as important. And I remember everybody saying they're getting tired of seeing this wrestling all the time. Need to change the rules. I didn't think they needed to change the rules. I felt eventually it was going to even itself out, and everybody has learned how to wrestle. Nullifying wrestling a little bit is still very, very important, and that's why you don't see as much jiu-jitsu, because nobody's going to the ground, and these guys have gotten so much better at getting back to their feet. So it goes in waves, and right now they're all three important, but you better be sharp on your feet, because these guys are I'm proud of these wrestlers that have completely been able to transform into Cain Velasquez, for one. His punching to me is just a thing of beauty. Coming from a straight wrestling background, these wrestlers have turned themselves into strikers, but they're all three important, and I have respect for all three areas. I can't say I did in the beginning, just out of naive stupidity, but now you better know how to do it all, or you're going to lose.
I want to say is the fact that as a striker, a boxer, I think still the UFC is lacking the correct way to do some things. They're getting better at it. Some fighters are a lot better than other fighters. Even with my fight with Royce, it was like, the game Street Fighter way back in the day. You might be too young for it. I was the boxer. I mean, I would beat everybody up, right? And it never dawned on me that one day I'd be the real boxer in the real UFC and have a fight a guy like Royce and not knowing. So, like you said, the thing about it, I think you have to have all three. You know what I'm saying? But I still think the UFC is still lacking a lot of the striker or boxers, for turning the punches the right way, putting combinations together. Also the jab. The jab is so important in the fight, but a lot of fighters, UFC fighters, you don't see doing it. So it's getting better and better each time.
Was Royce gonna say anything?
You already answered.
Okay. I didn't mean
as long as you admit
that
you have to learn some Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, some submission, because if there's no Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, there's no submission.
All right, well, thanks all for being out here. I didn't mean to insult you on that.
No, not at all.
All right, folks, we've only got about 5 more minutes, so some of the questions people we won't get to. So let's go as quick as we can and get as many people as we can in. Thank you. Go ahead.
So this question might be a little bit similar to the other one, but a little bit different. At the beginning of the UFC, we saw that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu dominated, and then we saw the trend towards the amateur wrestlers. Then we saw a little bit of the reverse wrestling to keep it standing. And we saw kind of the resurgence of the strikers with Chuck Liddell, and even today with Anderson Silva, where we see a lot more knockouts with kicks and things like that. Although we do have a blend now of a lot of jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and striking, my question is, Royce, do you think we'll see a little bit more of jiu-jitsu coming back in, or will it continue to be that blend, and how is that blend going to evolve in the future?
Like I said before, it's a strategy game. Depend which background you come from, if you're a grappler, if you're a stand-up fighter, and who you're fighting.
Perfect. And Mark, how do you see the evolution going in the future? Do you think we've kind of hit the perfect formula of everyone trains in those three main disciplines and adjust the strategy per fight? Or do you think we're going to see something a little different to come out in the future?
I think everybody's going to continue to get better in all areas. Art did mention the striking may not be professional boxer striking, but that's because they have to learn jiu-jitsu and wrestling and many other things. They can't focus on just boxing, but I see continued improvement, and everybody, I said in '96, you better learn how to wrestle. He says you better learn jiu-jitsu. Art says you better learn stand-up. Well, we're all three correct, and it's everybody's becoming a wrestler. Anderson Silva, he can stop the takedown and keep it on the feet if he has to. George St. Pierre is one of the few guys that ever turned himself into a great offensive wrestler, which it took some serious dedication. You're talking 2, 3, 4 years of going in there, probably getting his butt kicked, but sticking with it, turning himself into one of the best takedown guys in the sport. That's impressive. You learn wrestling at 5, and for a guy his age to commit to it, and he's got the most takedowns in the sport, that to me, you can learn defensive wrestling a lot easier than you can learn offense. So that's very impressive. And a lot of guys are learning the defense, so that's why the sport's staying on its feet, but there's always going to be room for jiu-jitsu, and you're always going to be a need for jiu-jitsu and wrestling, but and hopefully the guys start getting a lot more sharper and sharper and sharper on the feet, because that's what the fans want to see. They try to make it exciting. Sometimes the fans, maybe we spoiled them back in the day with too much blood and stuff. They want blood. I like a little blood myself, but these guys they're incredibly gifted athletes, and to say they had no scratches on their face, it's just not true. They had scratches somewhere. You don't just step in that cage. You put in 6, 8, 10 year, 2 years to get ready for that cage.
All right,
Thanks,
we're gonna
guys.
get to the next question here. Go ahead.
Gentlemen, it's truly an honor to be in the same room as you guys. You guys are MMA heroes, and I appreciate your hard work and your dedication, and I just want to give you a round of applause. The first question's for Dan. Where do you think you rank all time in MMA mustaches?
I've actually been asked this question before. I hate to say it, but Don Fry has a much better mustache than what I have. It's a younger, more youthful mustache. But,
no, I disagree wholeheartedly. You're number one. You have my number one vote for all time.
I appreciate that.
The second question is for everybody. If you can just give me each one regret.
Life is good in my world. I wouldn't change a thing.
You're not supposed to have regrets, but I probably do. I would say if I could do it again in hindsight with the knowledge I have now, I would have changed a lot of things. And you got to be open to listening to other people to help you learn how to fight. You can't teach yourself something you don't know. And working with it's tough. A lot of people are set in their ways, and it's hard to get through to them. Younger guys, take the instructions, take the coaching seriously, and get better. Don't be so bullheaded and think you know it all, because nobody up here knows it all. Nobody up on this panel. I'm pretty sure of that. Royce is pretty close.
I was gonna say, I know. No.
Dan?
Well, just to say something about that real quick, hindsight is 2020. I did what I did at the time, and I guess I can't regret it because that is what I did. But I simply look at being involved in a crazy industry such as the Ultimate Fighting Championships at the age I started back in 1994, 37 years of age. That's a pretty ripe age to be starting a career where most would have retired. So I have no regrets. Opportunity presented itself, and I took full advantage of it. And I'm happy for what it's done for me.
Okay. My only regret was the fact that I chose Michael Jordan, Babe Ruth, who else? The greatest fighter of all time to fight as my first fight.
Yep.
You know, if I could have went with Pat Smith or even Ken Shamrock, I would have definitely, because I had more chance to, more chance of my style, you know. But going against Horace, like I said, I chose the Michael Jordan, the Babe Ruth, and the Tiger Woods of jiu-jitsu, you know. So no regrets, because again, like I said, I'm still excited about being a part of the UFC. So, hooray UFC. I'm shocked. I really am about how far it's come from where it came from, because we started off in the beginning, we're going to 8 guys, you know. And you hear some of the stories about, after the first and second fight, guys were coming back with their jaws broken, eyes sticking out, you know. And I'm ready to fight Hoist, and I just see this bloodthirsty crowd out there saying more and more, you know. So, again, on Hoist, like I said, I didn't know who he was until the crowd actually showed me who he was. So, I'm excited about being here.
Thank you,
All
guys.
right, last question over here.
I just want to say much respect to all of you. Thank you for doing this. I have a 2-part question, so I'll be really quick.
Okay, you got to hurry.
I'm an amateur MMA, and I was wondering if you could give younger fighters advice about going pro. And as a background of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing, and boxing, what do you think the best skill set to get into professional MMA would be?
Man, there's a lot of tough guys out there. Whatever you learn, whatever you do, there's a lot of tough guys out there. There's a lot of talented people out there. But without discipline to get up and practice, get up and do what you got to do, you're not going to stay on top forever.
Simple. Discipline, he called it. Discipline, dedication, hard work. You need all areas. I'm sure he's going to say jiu-jitsu. I'm surprised he didn't. I was waiting for it. And I'm going to say wrestling. But no, all of them. You got to work hard, dedicate yourself to it, take care of your family, but you have to continue to get better, all areas, and enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. Don't let it, I see a lot of guys, it wears on them. You got to enjoy what you're doing, because you're shooting for a dream. It was a dream of mine, and I still feel like being up here has helped me, I feel like I'm still dreaming a little bit. So enjoy it. Work hard, but enjoy it.
Dan?
I would say the same, adding on to what the first 2 gentlemen have said there, but also have plan B, C, and D going right along with it. You have a plan A. Your opponent has plan A. Someone's about to come out on the short end of the stick. Always have plan B, C, and D going for yourself.
Yeah. And, again, all the guys' answers are great. I just think that you have to have the heart to do it, and also enjoy it. Have a kid-like heart, you know what I'm saying? When I was younger, I loved boxing. I eat, drink, and slept in boxing, you know? So I loved it, and I think with you having a heart to do it and have fun doing it. Don't make it a job. Once it becomes a job, it's time to get out.
Yeah.
Have fun doing it, enjoy doing it.
Yeah, and then my last question was, GSP's talked a number of times about Rory becoming champion, and I agree with him. Do you guys agree with that statement? Rory McDonald being champion?
He got a tough challenge ahead of him this weekend, so you can't be looking too far down the road. That answer, it'll come in the future, and you can't look past tomorrow night, because Robbie Lawler's
for sure.
It's a big,
thanks a lot, guys.
Big roadblock to get through. Of course, he has a chance. We'll see. That's what the UFC is all about. Let's find out when the lights turn on who's got the best game that night.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, the winner of the contest, I don't know where the guy went, the kid that came up and talked about the 8-year-old kid that wanted to grow up and be like Hoist Gracie. I thought that was kind of cool. So if he could come down after the way, we'll give him the address. Now I want you to all stand up. Give these guys the round of applause they deserve. UFC legend, Hoist Gracie, Mark Coleman, Dan Severn, Art Jimmerson. Hey guys, all stand back here. We're gonna do pictures.